like sports. Well, let me ask you something. Do you also happen to be fucking retarded?
Yeah, I didn't watch Steins Gate because the idea of getting trapped in a time loop just sounds really unappealing to me.
I mean, like, why even watch One Punch Man? He just kills everybody in one punch. That doesn't sound interesting. I mean, like, I have to ask, like, what do you think a sports anime is? Are you expecting that you're just gonna be watching people play sports? Like, that's all it's gonna be? Because I don't think they'd be that popular. Sports anime have never caught on in the West because of the fact that anime in the West is only enjoyed by fucking nerds, and even though there are plenty of nerds who like sports, most of them don't, and they will just ignore any sports anime that come out because it doesn't pertain to their nerdy interests, or, I don't know, reminds them of jocks who used to beat them up or something. But Japan has a very different perspective on sports. Not only are there plenty of sports anime which have been hugely successful even outside the realm of the typical anime viewing audience, but anime fans don't seem to have this massive bias against sports. Probably because of the fact that there have been so many classic anime that were sports shows that are massively important, hugely influential, extremely good, very beloved. You know, when you grow up with those kinds of shows, you probably have better expectations of what a sports anime can be, whereas people in the West just seem to basically throw up their hands and say, I don't want to watch sports. It's sports. I don't play sports. And then they watch Haikyuu and they go, oh, well, this one's different. Oh, I like sports anime now because this one's good. Now, look, I don't watch a lot of AniTube, but I do watch AniTube Digest by Caribou-kun, and he's talked several times in just recent months about multiple anime YouTubers who have just been insistent on this idea that Haikyuu is somehow the pinnacle of the sports anime genre, and like no other sports anime are worth mentioning or checking out. Meanwhile, look at this! First of all, like, what happened to Okiku Furikabute, or Big Wind-Up, as it's also known, the baseball show that had a lot of the same appeal as Haikyuu. Probably most of the same people would enjoy it about just as much, and was one of the best rated shows on MAL for a long time. You know, very beloved. Nobody talks about it anymore because it's not the new shit, you know? It's from the mid-2000s. Nobody's gonna watch that far back. Great baseball show, though. Hey, did you know that Chihaya Furu is considered a sports anime and is one of the highest rated shows on my anime list? What about Ping Pong? One of the best shows ever made. Remember Yuri on Ice just a couple years ago? People seem to like that one. Personally, I had at least 3, including Ping Pong, sports shows on my top of the decade list, including Baby Steps, which has one of the most endearing protagonists in anime history, and Kuroko no Basket, which, frankly, I enjoyed a lot more than Haikyuu. Thought was way more interesting and way better, and I wrote a video comparing the two. But like, more importantly than that, what about Hajime no Ippo? That's one of the most beloved franchises that there is. I mean, hugely in the West as well, over time, from just sheer word of mouth of people talking about it. I mean, that's one of the hypest fucking anime that there is. Hell, just like last season, there was a solid sports drama, Hoshiai no Sora. And it's not like sports can't be super unique and do something interesting. Like, remember One Outs, the show that was about sports gambling and everybody compared it to Kaiji? Or Giant Killing, which was about a coach and the strategies that he would come up with to help a soccer team. But all that's just recent stuff that I can confirm the quality of. What about all the classics? Ashita no Joe is one of the most important anime ever made from the 70s. It was so huge. It was not only like the biggest show on Japanese TV at the time, pulling numbers that anime can scarcely dream of today. But it wasn't because Japan was obsessed with boxing in the 70s. It was because it's a character-driven show with a emotional narrative that really stuck with people and left an impact, presented incredibly by one of anime's most influential and important directors, Osamu Dezaki, who would go on to a long and lovely career that you can learn all about by watching Caribou-kun's 12-part series on it. And moreover, even in the realm of shoujo, sports was massively important, with Attack No. 1, or Aim for the Ace, the volleyball and tennis shows respectively, from the 70s, adapted from manga, that were hugely influential on a generation of girls. I was just seeing Kikuko Inoue at Otakon recently talking about how Attack Number 1 was what inspired her to become a voice actress. In the 80s, one of the most popular manga authors of the decade was Mitsuru Adachi with his classic Touch, a romantic high school comedy, I guess, with a sports sort of, backdrop being about baseball, as most of his manga were. Most of them fairly popular, a ton of them adapted to anime, and all score very well. Anybody remember Yawata, the judo girl? You know, the one based on the manga by Naoki Urasawa, just the guy who made Monster and 20th Century Boys. But surely Yawata was just some random offshoot from him, from the 90s that nobody remembers, right? I mean, the anime only had 124 episodes. Did you know that Japan basically didn't have basketball at all until Slam Dunk? One of the top 10 best-selling manga of all time, launching the career of Takehiko Inoue, who would also go on to do Vagabond, which is a masterpiece. But hey, maybe you're just into anime for the cute girls. Well, guess what? We got you covered, bruh. Even back in the 90s, you had stuff like Battle Athletes Victory or Metal Fighter Miku. And those might just be, fun little distractions with weird made-up sports. But you could also, skip to the 2000s and maybe learn something about Japanese history by watching Taisho Yaku Musume, a show set in the Taisho period of Japan, focusing on the changing roles of women in Japanese society as they began to modernize through the lens of their ability to play baseball. How about Bamboo Blade, which is just cute girls doing cute things, except actually they're doing sports anime pretty much the same way that any other sports anime would, and with kendo. And it's a lot of fun. All of those are worthwhile shows that you should be checking out, and you should not be writing off the sports genre if you have not seen these fucking shows. There is no argument that can be made that these shows aren't massively important, influential, well-beloved, and deserving of your time, your energy, your effort to appreciate, to understand, to not speak about things you know nothing about. So please, I beseech you, watch these shows. These are good shows. I like all of these more than Haikyuu. I haven't even seen some of these and I like them more than Haikyuu. Fuck Haikyuu. Watch more sports anime.